Fifth gear first saw the light of day in 2002, and it's been going like a train ever since.
I love this.
In that time, hundreds of stories have been told about every conceivable type of car and how well they do their job, sometimes under the most extreme conditions. So the team thought it was time to put together some of our favourite items from over the years and group them in handy categories.
I don't want to come off the road.
This time we're looking at the ultimate attention grabbers, supercars. Let's get the ball rolling with an item from 2002, and the most famous make of all, Ferrari. Seeing the car was one thing, driving it was another.
This is my day trip to northern Italy, Modena, Ferrari town. We've been asked to drive the most important new car of them all, the flagship Enzo Ferrari. But first, there's time to soak up the atmosphere, because here, there's something for the tifosi around every corner. Filming with Ferrari is a privilege, albeit a uniquely Italian experience. This is just the, well, discussion the PR reps had before we filmed at the factory. But this wasn't my main concern, because me and the test driver don't really get on.
I upset the test driver last time I was here in the F50. Dario Bertuzzi. I dared to challenge what gears he was going to use in different corners, and he seems to take it very personally as an insult. He thinks I'm an English idiot, I think.
But I wasn't going to let that bother me. Not when there's a £420,000 car to take my mind off it. Only 349 Enzos will be built, the theory being you should always make one less than you think you can sell. It has a V12, 660 horsepower, does 220 miles an hour, and only comes in yellow or red.
The funny thing is, you see pictures before you come in magazines, and you get this idea of it, and you think it looks a bit ugly in the magazines, and you start criticising it because, you know, you get a bit picky. And then you see it for real, and all the hair stands up on your arms. It looks stunning. The naked eye can see so much more detail than photographs show, because I just noticed that this wing, you don't see that in the photos at all. It's a proper aerofoil. It is the detailed touches, little rear lights. I'm not sure I like little silver bits they put on it, spoiling all their advertising stickers. Where's Dario? Is he here yet? Oh, there he is at the door. Robin Quitters has shot Dario over there. There's Dario.
Back in the doorway.
The doorway. Hope he hasn't spotted me yet. He always wears the shades. You can't see his eyes behind the shades. The other big feature of the car is this first ever production car use of carbon brakes. And you can see the mottled effect, very different from steel. And the whole point about these is, in the past, racing-wise, they only work when they're really incredibly hot. And when they're not hot, they don't work and it pulls the car. Now, they say, even on a stone-cold day, they work straight away. Finally, I'm in an Enzo Ferrari. Apparently, when you buy your own, the pedals can have about 16 different adjustments to suit you. All the basic seats got 16 different sizes. Still slides backwards and forwards manually, mind you. And at long last, when it started with the Ferrari 360, you've now got adjustable steering wheels. Because the days prior to the 360, they were horrible driving positions. Now they're brilliant, fantastic. Real Formula One steering wheel. There's those lights that apparently come on with the revs. You've got all sorts of mode settings here, traction control settings there. Of course, now, as you'd expect with the Ferrari, paddle gear change, up on the right, down on the left. Big start button to fire up that 6-litre V12, which I can see in the rear-view mirror. Very nice.
Our day was shared with the Italian daily press, who went first, followed by the Germans. Well, it has to be said that neither were necessarily pushing their car to its full limit all of the time.
Finally, after hours of waiting, it was Tiff's turn.
Suddenly, at 2:30, they say, lunch is over, you're in. Another change of plan. But I am finally out on the track in an Enzo Ferrari. With the first impression, you get that lovely V12 engine behind you, the blip of the down change that comes automatically, and a huge surge. Braking over the bridge. It's very light, the steering, and the nose turns in surprisingly easily. And then down to this tight first gear hairpin. Pull one gear, pull the second, turn, the front responds, steering very light, floor the throttle, and oh, and the traction control was killing me. Sorry, but I can't drive a Ferrari with that on. I think I've hit the right button. They didn't tell us how to get rid of it. Now the Ferrari's alive. The lights on the wheels scream up through the ribs. Oh, don't look at that chicane, Tiff. It's not there, is it? Oh, it is. That blip, you'll feel the rear end squirm a bit if you change down too early. You want to be later on that. But then, oh! Brake, blip, change down later, Tiff. That's what this car wants. Now I haven't got traction. I hit the horn again as I cross my hands. But now the car leaps out of that corner. Heading for this high-speed left-right. Fourth. Fifth gear. Turning and braking. Clamp on. I can't believe how good the brakes are. But I believe that the 600 horsepower right underneath my foot. Oh! It's been 5 minutes and it's gone. And it's hard to know how to sum up this Enzo Ferrari after a short experience as that, but it's perhaps not as elegant nor as practical as a McLaren F1. It's not as exotic as the Pagani Zonda. But what it does do fantastically well is what Ferrari are fantastic at. It goes around racing circuits very, very quickly indeed.
Just one loose end then. My lap time of 1 minute 34 may have been 4 seconds slower than the great Dario, but not bad considering I'd only had 5 minutes and he's here every day. And it was, I'm proud to report, the quickest journalist time of all. So, what did Dario think of that?
Bello.
There you go. Bello. Friends again.
In 2005, we sampled more supercar royalty. Lamborghini reckoned their recently revised Murcielago was a doddle to drive. So, of course, we had to test that claim.
We've always loved Lamborghinis. But the truth is, they could be pretty hard work to drive. However, in 2001, all that changed with this, the Murcielago. At last, you could experience a Lambo without risking physiotherapy. The clutch, gear change and steering were all pleasantly light. But now Lambo reckon they've made the Murcielago even easier to drive by offering e-gear.
So what is e-gear? Well, it's Lamborghini's pedal shift system, a semi-automatic gearbox that gets rid of the clutch and saves a bit of wear and tear on the old left stiletto. Basically, you push this lever to go up the 6-speed gearbox and you click that one to go down it. I mean, breathing's harder. Now, this got me to thinking, could anybody jump into a 200-mile-an-hour car and drive it? Somebody who's never driven anything remotely similar before, but somebody who drives an automatic gearbox. Somebody like my mum. Meet Valerie. Hello, Mummy. Hello. No, you're really, really scared? Are you? Oh, Mum, don't be silly. Are you really? This has got 580 brake horsepower, which is about 3 times the power of your Range Rover. How fast do you usually go in the Range Rover, Mum? 60. Oh. Oh. Do you like it when it goes sideways? This is so easy to drive, Mum, okay? So every time you just want to go up the gearbox, just flick the right lever, and then when you want to go down, press down, or you just pull it actually, and it just clicks on down. There's a little bit of understeer, and a lot of oversteer when you want it. And there's an awful lot of grunt. Now, I can get round Anglesey in the wet here in a minute, all right? By the end of the day, I want you to go round in probably about, what should we say, 1 minute 30, okay?
Okay.
All right, then.
And I'm giving the original VBH just 3 laps to achieve that target time.
Put your foot on the brake.
Yes,
yeah, and pull it towards you.
Just slightly.
Okay, into first gear, okay?
And then
as exactly like your Range Rover, put your foot off the brake and onto the throttle. That's it, baby. Go on, go on.
That's it?
Yeah. My mum's driving a Lamborghini. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to start the stopwatch.
I'm still in second. Is that still all right?
Yep. If you can get it into 6th gear at 180, I'd love it. Somehow, not quite yet. Not on this lap, anyway. Okay, now click into 3rd gear. Right hand, right hand. Okay, you want to go up the box, pull that, the right hand one. That's it, okay. You went down the box instead of up.
With a lap time of over 2 minutes, this was going to be trickier than I thought.
Go on, mummy. Go on. More. Go on, get that fade down. Throttle, throttle, throttle. Give me some throttle, mummy. That's it, and unwind the lot there. Flat out. Okay, mum, that was 1 minute 40. That's not bad going. So we need to shave 10 seconds off.
Trouble is, there's only 1 lap left.
Out to the left, go on, flat out. Come on, mum, we'll almost do 130. Right hand stick, 3rd gear. Right, you've got to nail this corner, mum. We're on a flyer here. Don't brake. Power, mummy, just power. Please, for me, come on, we're so close to doing a really special time. Flat line it, go. Go, mummy, go. Up into 3rd, right hand stall, go. A bit more, go on, trust me, mummy. Go on. More. Good girl. Go on, mum. Go on, mum. Up into 3rd. Good girl. Keep it going. Okay, back on the brakes, onto the brakes. 125. I'm so proud of you. So, a 1 minute 25 by my mum, proving that the Murcielago E-Gear, whilst still a little impractical, is perfect for supercar virgins. Go.
In 2007, we finally got our hands on the fastest and most expensive supercar of the lot, the 900 grand Bugatti Veyron.
Your Veyron-owning life begins in an Alcantara-lined minibus that whisks you from private jet to factory door. The Bugatti is assembled near Strasbourg in a place unlike any factory you've ever seen. It's in the grounds of a chateau once home to founder Ettore Bugatti. But all that grandeur is perfectly fitting. We are, after all, talking about a car that does 253 miles an hour. Now, you know what I'm like when I get close to these cars. I can't wait to soak up some of the detail, and I'm instantly drawn to this amazing engine bay. 16 cylinders and 4 turbochargers, which help produce that 1,001 horsepower. But they also produce 1,000 degrees centigrade, which is why there's no engine cover to let the heat out.
And you look at the brakes, Bugatti calipers there, 16-inch carbon ceramic discs, which are bigger than a Ford Focus's wheels. And those brakes can stop the car from 250 miles an hour in just 10 seconds.
The actual assembly hall is normally out of bounds, but we promised to behave, so they let us in for a mooch.
Now look at that for an engine. It's massive, 2 banks of double cylinders creating that W effect. How on earth do they fit that in the back of a car that looks so beautiful, so compact? Over here, I've spotted over here, look, a colour in the finish you off bay where the bright lights are checking out for any imperfections. Look at the rear, I love that all-in-one colour rear. Oh, more colour around the corner, look at that. The Bugatti Blue, now that is stunning. Oh, this does look lovely. This is brilliant. See the perfect flat floor that creates that acceleration of air underneath that creates the downforce. There's probably about £10 million worth of Bugatti Veyrons right in front of me. The overwhelming initial impression is that this is not a hard car to drive. It's not intimidating. Anyone could get in a Veyron and drive sensibly all day long. Inevitably, you'll soon tire of cruising along in 7th gear at just 1,500 RPM. You want a bit more action. You simply move the gear lever from D to S without even touching any more throttle. You've suddenly got 5,000 RPM on the clock and you're in 2nd gear. And now I'll touch the throttle. 3rd, 4th, 5th. It's amazing how you have to constantly keep on refocusing your eyes to a point further and further away because the horizon you're heading into gets narrower and narrower and narrower as you cover so much ground. When you want to use the brakes and not just plain deceleration, the pedal is firm and strong, hugely confidence-inspiring. I am beginning to be astounded by what this car can do, and I've hardly explored any of it yet. I think it's probably the usability of the gearbox that is the most striking thing initially. Then the ride quality. This is a country road. And most supercars like this with sports suspension, those low-profile tyres, will be pulling this way and that way across the canvas of the road. And yet the Veyron just sits in calm and poise and takes it all in their stride. It's amazing.
It's so fast, the local fighter jets ran home scared. But how well can a 2-ton car handle? First thing I wanted to test was the traction control system.
With so much power, the ESP really does need to be good if amateurs are going to start flooring it. Full lock, floor it. Full throttle, nothing, 100 horsepower, 200, 300, 400, 600. Turn it on corner quick, just a bit of understeer. Floor it, full throttle, nothing. It won't give. I can't get into trouble. I'm trying to get into trouble, but I can't. It's hard on the brakes, ABS clicking down. Obviously, if I turn in too fast, I can just plough off the road. But now if I'm stupid with the throttle, it'll do no harm. So even the most stupid, reckless person cannot get into much of a mess, apart from just going into a corner way too quick. And for that, there's no solution ever been invented. Go on, slide, go on. And how about a left and a right? ESP going off all the time, and it still changed direction. 2 tons changing direction like that.
I was staggered. I never thought it possible that the electronics could be so sophisticated to rein in all that power. To enjoy a Veyron, you need to be rich, but you don't need to be a good driver.
So the final question has to be, just how good is the chassis hidden away by the ESP? Well, They tried to hide the ESP button, but I found out where it is. And it's just down somewhere. I got it there. Now, we're going to unleash 1,000 horsepower with no safety net. Down in the hairpin, first gear, 1,000 horsepower. It's quite controllable. Now I've got to open the throttle very gingerly. I tell you what, and this is even more unexpected, the chassis is actually pretty well balanced underneath all this brute force and huge weight. That was quite a nice balanced pass line. Great steering feel, light, loads up when you need it to load up, brake pressure always there. So this is the big surprise. The fastest car in the world is also one of the easiest cars in the world.
Not every supercar comes from Europe, as I discovered in 2008 when we got exclusive access to a rather special Nissan.
Selecting 3Rs here is the jackpot on the most exciting fruit machine you'll ever get to play with. It's race mode for the gearbox, suspension and traction control of this, the Nissan GTR. This is the first one in the country, in our hands a year ahead of the official UK launch, and my God, is it going to be worth your wait?
What you're looking at here is a supercar, Japanese styling, but the only thing that's been miniaturised is the price tag. Back in its home country, this car will set you back just £30,000, and that's for a car that's capable of nearly 200 miles an hour and will do 60 in a mind-warping 3.5 seconds. Wow.
In the UK, taxes will push the price of this car to more like 60 grand. But it's still fantastic value for something that's going to scare a Porsche 911 Turbo. The bespoke chassis, brand new engine, radical gearbox and lightweight body are basically hand-assembled by a team of just 14 highly trained ninjas. Unsurprisingly, it's got more technology than Tokyo. In fact, the whole thing seems more indebted to cutting-edge science than a car factory. From carbon fibre prop shafts to plasma liners in the cylinders, even tyres filled with nitrogen.
Now, I'll tell you what makes this car special is despite the amazing performance figures, it's an absolute doddle to drive. I mean, it may as well be a Nissan Micra. You know, I'm not crouched down, I haven't got restricted visibility, I'm not being shaken to pieces. It's just like an everyday car.
Usually 100% of the grunt goes to the back wheels, although during moments it gets shifted around all four. The Japanese engineers practically encourage you to take it out on the snow and ice, claiming the trick differentials will stop you ruining the no claims bonus. Of course, you can't keep a 3.8 litre V6 with twin turbos quiet for long, especially when it produces 473 horsepower. So, what's it like when you open the taps?
Now, all big turbocharged engines have got tons of torque, and this is no exception. 500 Newton meters. It works well from low down. It's a great engine, a great engine. Now, the gearbox is fantastic. It's one of the best bits about the car. It's a twin clutch arrangement, a wee bit like the Volkswagen Golf, the DSG version. The changes are almost seamless, so up the gears is fantastic, but down the gears, listen to this. Really fast, precise down changes, the auto blipper, it's just a great gearbox. Now, this car is for the PlayStation generation because it's got so much kit and caboodle on the dashboard. It gives you a ton of information that you actually don't really want to know. You can look at your lateral G, your acceleration G, how hard you brake. You can look at probably what pants your mum's got on. You can look at absolutely everything. Cornering G on now. Let's see how much G we're pulling. Trying to carry maximum speed in. Cornering speed. Well, just over 1G. It's at 1.2G. See? Really useful information. Woo, Daddy!
The engineers haven't just focused on performance, but handling too. They reckon it'll get round the Nürburgring in 7 minutes 38. Bear in mind, it takes the Bugatti Veyron 7 minutes 40.
Interestingly, the computers on this car have given it two personalities. You know, it's brilliant at a slow speed hairpin, gives you the right sort of torque split, delivers the power in the right way. You can have a little slide on the exit and still get traction. Where it lets itself down is on the longer medium speed to fast corners where it just wants to understeer too much. And you can't get after it. Come on, you. This car, I think, is going to be a more rewarding car to drive on the roads because of the way the diff is set up than perhaps it is on a track. But you know, the upshot is you can pick faults and everything, and I suppose that's our job to do so, but it's a great bit of metal, this car. It's fantastic fun, it's great value for money. We like it a lot.
The GTR was brilliant, but in 2012 I drove a hypercar that took my breath away. The £850,000, 730 horsepower Pagani Huayra. And I had one burning question. Could it hit the double ton?
Only 2 cars have ever hit the magic 200 mile an hour in 5th gear history. The Noble M600 and the Lamborghini Aventador. To find out if the Huayra can join this elite brigade, the car has been flown to our high-speed private test track. Even with a 3-mile runway normally reserved for space shuttle emergency landings, topping 200 is tough. You're not so much driving as fighting a battle against physics. Tyres can overheat. Small gusts of wind can knock you sideways. Mechanical components vibrate to within an inch of their lives. Your perception of distance becomes distorted. When I hit the brakes, I should be doing nearly 100 meters a second.
So there's various different settings with this car. I've got it in sport mode, obviously, but I've elected, because I've not done a practice run, I've elected not to turn all of the electronics off because, if I'm honest, I'm not too sure what it's going to be like. And it's quite nice to have a layer of cleverness when you're going to do 200 mile an hour, which is exactly what we're going to do. So that's 100 already. 140, 150, 60, 75, 80. 200 miles an hour. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm a bit twitchy. I don't like doing 200 mile an hour in road cars. We did it there. Oh, you fighter!
As I launched, the car's active wings lifted to give me more downforce as I accelerated, increasing traction. As the speed shot up, they sank back down to decrease drag and boost acceleration. The net result? 0 to 200 miles an hour in little more than 30 seconds.
I tell you what, doing 200 mile an hour does weird things with your head. I'm a bit slightly fuzzy now with the concentration. Deary me. I'm amazed how noisy it is in here. Not engine noise, but surface, tyre, wind noise is extraordinary. It's huge. There's no doubt that this machine is at the top of the hypercar Premier League. It's in Bugatti Veyron territory. But what excites me most of all is that under all this carbon fibre is the same suspension from the magical Zonda R, which was basically a racing car.
The Huayra's forte should be cornering. Its carbon fibre structure is enormously rigid, giving the car's suspension the support it needs to perform at its best. And let's not forget how little the car weighs.
1,350 kilograms. Unbelievable. You know, that gives it, incredible performance, but what it also does is it makes the handling razor sharp. So here we are, we're doing, what, 120 mile an hour now. Let's see what this corner's like. 120. And it just doesn't roll at all. It's amazing. The change of direction on this thing, even at 100 miles an hour, is breathtaking. You know, it's composed, it's balanced, it rides the road really well. It gives you confidence when you drive it. It's got a really nice kind of departure rate, and what I mean by that is when it does let go, it lets go really progressively. You can just it feels like a racing car.
The Huayra's grip is so immense that its AMG engine has been built to withstand up to 1.7 G.
I mean, that's a 100 mile an hour corner. Never been round it at 80 and anything else. I wouldn't be surprised if this car will accelerate from 100 to 160 faster than most cars will from 0 to 60. The power is extraordinary.
The Huayra is an incredible achievement. The attention to detail, the engineering, and the thrill it gives you are in a different league to any Ferrari or Lamborghini. We've just got ourselves a brand new hypercar benchmark.
And finally, no show like this will be complete without the Porsche 911. Here we team it up with another Ferrari, plus Tiff and a chap who then made it on some other motoring programme we vaguely heard of.
The 458 Speciale and 911 GT3 sit at the very top of the extreme sports car tree. But somehow we have to decide which is best. 3 tests will determine which offers the best combination of handling, performance and road manners. And because there's a lot at stake here, Fifth Gear has drafted in a man whose job it is to assess machines like this. Motoring journalist Chris Harris.
Now then, Chris, you've actually got a bit of an advantage here because you've already driven both of these cars. You're also a renowned 911 lover, so I've decided to let you have the Porsche today. Well, I'll have the Ferrari.
That's very kind. I know that we're doing some head-to-heads here on track, and you've chosen the car that's got 100 and something horsepower more and weighs less.
Well, maybe, but I know how much you love the Porsche. I didn't want to take it away from you. I have to admit, though, when it comes to looks, of course, the Ferrari is the better-looking car, apart from this one being yellow. But, I mean, look at that. Look at these little streaks down the front. Stunning.
No, I think it's overcomplicated. It's got these fripperies at the front. Look at these complicated bits.
That's styling.
Furthermore, Tiff,
what?
The price.
Well, it starts at £206,000.
So it's more than twice the price of this vehicle. So I'm talking bang per buck. This is the one.
You might have a point there.
In fact, it's not just price where these cars differ, because, as Chris has pointed out, the Ferrari has more power than the Porsche, and it's also faster to 62 miles an hour. However, he also knows that the 911 always punches well above its weight, so it's hard to predict a winner. Round 1 will test our car's agility, acceleration and braking. First, we have to weave through a slalom course, then accelerate up to 100 miles an hour before hitting the brakes. The car that stops in the shortest distance wins. We're going to perform this test with the driver aid switched on to see just how well each car's electronics can cope with changes of direction and violent power delivery. The slalom will show how well the traction control works. I've got my Manatino setting in sport, the normal everyday road position. All the traction controls on. The question is, how much will it hold the Ferrari back? The Ferrari is over 100 kilograms lighter than the Porsche, which will help it to weave through the cones. Plus, it has carbon ceramic brakes as standard. It should stop quick. I think Mr. Harris is in for a bit of a shock, even in round one.
Now, I think he's going to be around about here.
Have you got that cone ready to mark my position of stopping, Mr. Harris?
It's the orange thing by my feet.
He's going to be like all day.
I'd like you to go when I say 3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, that felt like wheel spin, but it wasn't. You can virtually have full throttle now, and the traction's doing the job. The brakes are coming on, but this is the important one to accelerate out. Not off, hit the cone. Harris won't notice. 80, 90.
Oh. Don't mention the cone.
I was literally about 4 feet off, come on.
Did you hear the gearbox? That's in automatic mode. You hear it changing down as I brake hard.
It's mega. I mean, and what's the penalty for knocking that cone over?
Ah, you noticed that, did you? I just tickled it. It won't make any difference.
Even with the safety aids engaged, the Ferrari has swept through the course, and thanks to its race-spec brakes, brought me from 100 to a halt in an extremely short distance. It was a tough target for the Porsche to beat, but never discount German engineering.
911's interesting. It should be inherently disadvantaged because it's rear-engined and the Ferrari's mid-engines. The Ferrari should change direction better, but the Porsche's got this clever rear-wheel steering which effectively shortens the wheelbase in the way that the car behaves. And 911s are always surprising, aren't they? So I don't think it's going to get as duffed up as these guys think, but we will now find out.
A shorter wheelbase makes a car more nimble. So even though the 911 is heavier, it might keep up with the 458 through the cones.
Oh, it's very agile.
Like me, Chris had all the electronic aids on and the gearbox engaged in full auto.
It didn't kick down enough, it didn't kick down enough.
Which is clearly a bit slow to react. Now, Woody's brakes work as well as mine.
All your hazard lights have come on. Have you been doing something dangerous?
But you've moved yours back.
I did not touch my cone. But I must admit, you stopped better than I thought.
So what we're saying is the difference between these two cars, £120,000 is that.
Well, yes, but that's a lot. If that was
£120,000 is
How
that.
big would the crash have been if that had been a lorry or a brick wall?
I'm calling unfair and a rematch.
You don't get one. Go on.
OK, Chris, you've exaggerated the price difference by 14 grand and had to pay £6,000 for your optional ceramic brakes. But as I won this test, I'll let that go. The Speciale is a monument to weight loss, with a carbon fibre floor, thinner glass, and not a tuft of carpet in sight. But will Ferrari's decision to create a stripped-out track racer make this an irritating car on the road? And talking of irritating...
Can I point out one of two things? You're showing a slight greenness when driving a Ferrari in the UK. There's a button you have to press to make it drivable on the road. There's a button here on the steering wheel, that one there.
A suspension button.
And it says bumpy road, and now it'll ride properly. So you now suddenly feel how much better the ride is?
It's not a bumpy road, so I can't tell the difference.
It is a bumpy road. It's brilliant.
It does take those potholes well.
It takes them really, really well.
I'm going to put the bumpy suspension off.
Yeah, feel how bumpy that is.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have known about that.
No.
You would have dismissed this car as being too hard riding.
Well, I might have, Chris. But I have to agree, get the settings right and the 458 suspension can handle British roads. Now, let's move on to a favourite topic of mine, the location of gear change paddles.
Because Ferrari don't make paddles that go with the steering wheel, so when you've got a lock on, the paddle's not there.
But hold on, you're always sideways on the way to the shops. When you go and get a pint of milk on a Sunday, you're fully crossed up. And if you're crossed up, you don't know where you are with the paddle, so you do need them on the
Turn the radio on. You're annoying me now. Can we have radio, please?
There is no radio, Tiff, I'm afraid. This one has been specified in a super light, super leggera spec, and it doesn't have a radio.
Storage space. Good glove box?
No. There's a bit of storage space behind here. There's a net. That's a net for putting stuff in, not a girl's name.
I feel guilty opening the throttle on public roads, Steve.
Is that just too noisy? You're going along, and if you add 1 mil of throttle, suddenly it goes, ah! And also, controversially, is that a nice noise or is that just a noise?
But I discovered that if you make a lot of noise, your passenger suddenly goes very quiet.
Can't I have a turn down the engine button as well?
Yeah, you just go into wet.
All right, I'll try wet.
I shouldn't kick down quite as easily. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? You're arriving at this in a yellow Ferrari.
I'll get the bags for you, but will you open up your Porsche, will you?
Come on, come on.
All right, I'm coming.
I quite like this baggage handling by Tiff.
Oh no, I've got more space in the Ferrari.
There is
look.
there's more space in there, I'll give you that. But this is going to be a nicer road car, isn't it? Come on.
What, this is going to be more comfortable than my Ferrari?
Get in, I'll show you. Come on.
In spite of Chris's comments, I'd make my own mind up, thank you.
It's very civilised.
It's quieter, but the ride is just as firm. It might even be further.
You've got no soft buttons then.
Well, I have got buttons, but I'm in the soft one already. If I go into the hard one, you don't want to know, do you?
No. What's all this scaffolding in the back for? I mean, do you really want all that?
But you can have that taken out. That's a no-cost option, that thing. But you can have it taken out.
Out. And where are the paddles on your Porsche steering wheel? Hey, come on. Hey. Yeah. They turn with the steering wheel. Should that come up or not?
No, you press the button to open it, Tiff.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's concentrate on the steering.
I love it when you play what car. You like your what car bit, don't you? Pull the door handle, see how the door handle feels.
No, the door will open, I'll fall out.
Wouldn't necessarily constitute a problem in this situation, I don't think.
Nice seat.
It's a good seat, isn't it?
Can I recline my seat even or not?
No, it's fixed.
It's fixed?
Yeah. Have you noticed that every question you've directed to me about both of these cars I've answered? I mean, you kind of need me around.
I'm imagining being a passenger. I obviously don't want to be a passenger.
Nevertheless, as a passenger, I was able to appreciate some of the 911's finer points.
But look at the comfort. I've got a glove box.
Radio? Sat nav?
Oh, look, wait a minute. Oh, look, I've got cup holders.
Oh, and you've got that. I mean, that sounds like an engine, not something that's been forced.
Doesn't feel very racy at all.
Doesn't feel very racy?
No.
Okay, this is 9,000 RPM, ready?
That feels racy.
That's mega, isn't it?
But
how mega is that?
Buyers of these cars don't want to have to do 9,000 revs to feel
You
racy.
think this is too much? You have to go too far?
Yeah, you have to go too far to get some noise and excitement on the public roads.
Has anyone ever called you fussy, Tiff?
Maybe, occasionally.
You know, sometimes you feel an affinity with the car, Tiff. I feel some affinity towards this thing, and I think you might be stuffed on the track. No. You think you're going to duff me up in your fancy yellow Ferrari?
Once we're back on the racetrack, you're dead. Now, I know what you're going to say, but I mean, the Ferrari, it's lovely. It's beautiful.
Stop. That's a better road car.
It is. More comfort, more accommodation, glove box, radio.
Absolutely.
So far, it's even Stevens, as the Ferrari claimed the agility honours, but the Porsche scored higher on the road. But ultimately, these are track-focused vehicles with one major objective: mind-blowing performance. So it's fitting this contest should be decided by the car with the best combination of handling, brakes and outright speed.
Okay, here we are at Castle Combe. Tiff chose the Speciale, funny that. Load more power, load less weight. But I've got Porsche traction and I've got four-wheel steering, I've got a PDK gearbox. Come on, I think I can get close to him in this, I really do.
It's showtime. I got a little Manatino switch to everything off. I got 9,000 revs to play with, launch control to get me going, and a Porsche that's about to get a good thrashing.
Ladies and gentlemen, stamp on the throttle.
Oh! Oh, bye-bye, Harris.
He's just absolutely munched away from me there.
Thanks to its lighter weight and extra 130 horsepower, the Ferrari is half a second quicker to 62 than the Porsche, so it's no surprise I drew first blood.
He's never going to get anywhere near me. This is just awesome.
But it seems Chris had other ideas.
But we're catching up with him, we're catching up with him. That's because I've got more confidence under brakes. He's moving around all over the place.
Whoa, come on!
A wayward moment in the Ferrari gave Chris his chance.
Come on, Tiff. Get it together, man.
You flipping dive-bombing hooligan.
Direction change is good in this Porsche.
I'll get you. Get off those curbs, Harris. That's cheating.
The GT3 might be less powerful, but with electromagnetic adaptive damping and four-wheel steering, Chris was mightily quick through the bends.
Braking hard.
These brake lights are flashing. I've gone down another gear there.
However, as the next straight beckoned, I knew the tables would turn.
We're going to have to use the power. Streaking in after him now. The first bit of power, he's on it, but then the Ferrari just begins to get back ahead.
I can't do much about that, Tiffany.
But when you're going this fast,
Whoa.
it's not always that easy to slow down.
Whoa. I've got a bit wide, I've got a bit deep.
He's run wide now. Can we do him up the inside?
Damn. Yeah. I'm not going to follow him again now. We'll have to dive bomb him under the brakes.
I can't turn in there, mate.
Chris had nearly 500 horsepower under his right foot, but with my 458 to chase down, that still wasn't enough.
Come on.
Listen to the engine wailing. Whoa!
I don't mind being beaten by something when it looks that good.
Oh!
Every time he puts his foot down, there's another few yards.
Holy lights on my steering are getting redder and redder. I've got to stay ahead. I can't let him do one of his great braking manoeuvres.
It's a grunt issue, I'm afraid.
One more corner for another famous Ferrari victory.
With our battle over, it was time for a gentlemanly debrief.
You curb-chopping, dirt-throwing...
You turned up to a conker battle with a machine gun, Tiff. It's not fair.
Good on the brakes, that Porsche.
This is very good on the brakes, but I haven't got the grunt, have I?
No.
I have not got the grunt.
Too much padding in there. That's your trouble. Overweight.
By any other measure, the Porsche 911 GT3 is a stunning car. As we said at the very start of this challenge, it is the best pound-for-pound supercar in the world. And for most drivers, will deliver more than they will ever need. However, if money is not an issue and you desire the ultimate track day machine that also offers reasonable day-to-day practicality, then it has to be the Ferrari 458 Speciale. One word sums this car up: sublime.